Welcome to today's Fight to Fly show. Super excited to sit down with Roger Rojas, the content CEO himself, and have a conversation. I know he's going to drop some gold nuggets on content creation, but also an incredible story. So thanks for coming on, Roger. I'm
so excited for this. This morning I woke up and I was like, ooh, gonna do a podcast with you. Because the last time we spoke, it was like so in depth.
Yeah.
And then you looked at me and you're like, let's do a podcast. I'm like, Tuesday?
Yeah.
And we're here. West
Sure.
Hollywood, you made it happen.
Yeah. I just, I asked you a question and you started talking about your story. And obviously, I know you've shot for a lot of people, photo shoot, to be clear.
That's very important. You're in Texas.
Yeah.
Maybe that helps your audience. I don't know.
But, you've lived an incredible life and you've been around incredible people. And now you're teaching and coming from a background of business consulting and marketing consulting, such a huge question. How do I create content? How do I know it's the right content? Where do I put the content? It's every single business owner I've ever consulted with. It is a big stress factor for them.
Yep.
So I love that you could just keep doing what you're doing and fly around the world and do video shoots and photo shoots for celebrities, but you're actually, have a business to help other people create content. So I was like, I got to get him on my show.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about that.
So what, tell it, if you don't mind telling the audience, like who you are, what you do. Would love to start there.
Yeah, I was born and raised down in Miami, Florida. So I spent the first 18 years of my life there. I'm one of five, and I'm the fourth out of the five. And I was the first one to leave the house, and I made the decision to attend a private Catholic university in upstate New York, known as Iona University, about 45 minutes north of New York City. Did my undergraduate there with the focus of business management. And I graduated with the big question of what am I doing next, right? Especially any undergraduate person right now or someone that's stepping into that next phase of life, it's unknown. And I had an opportunity to run marketing for a local fitness gym in Westchester County known as Transform Fitness. That's a story within itself of how I fell into that, but essentially ran the content for that. This was back in 2016. And to give you context of social media at that time, it was like taking selfies and pictures of your hashtag food. And so at the time, it was not used for business. Right. And when I was telling people, hey, you should use video and photo marketing for your business on social, people were like, what is social? Like, why? Yeah. I do just fine with word of mouth. I don't need that. And so I spent the next 2.5 years just running around Westchester and New York City, just doing everything and anything under the sun. When I am able to describe my past, and still I am today, the number one word is curious. And so through my curiosity, I continuously just started creating relationships in different backgrounds, from Indian dance academies to basketball games to football games to running around with an athlete for an award show to filming the local baker. Like, I did everything. And a wedding, anything under the sun that could put money in my pocket and also kind of serve at the time, which I didn't think was my calling. It took me like 2.5 years to really have that confidence in myself. But, a 4 years post-grad, had an opportunity to move out to LA and then work under Dan Fleischer, and I've been here ever since. So 4 years in, I've been lucky enough to travel and work for some of the biggest names in the world, and kind of had that moment of what I'm calling my leap of faith. I've had that throughout my life when I was 18, 24, and now 30, of saying to myself, hey, this is great. What I'm doing is great. But I also could cruise. And I kind of had that moment where I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to cruise anymore. I want to do something that serves more than just me, because that's my career. Like, everything I'm doing is, yes, I'm helping the people around me, but not really. There's no influence or impact or kind of that community feel. And I felt that was missing in my life, by simultaneously making a decision. Actually, today's Wednesday. Wednesday. Tomorrow, Thursday, will be 9 weeks of my sobriety. So it was a mix of, just my calling of stepping into something new, stepping into what I see as my future, which is doing these workshops and also creating a community of creators at the same time.
Yeah. Well, congratulations first of all, for making the decision to go for sobriety. Yeah. I think that's a huge step. I talk to a lot of people on my podcast, and the common thread I hear is, I made a decision.
Yep.
I made a decision, and then the next step was nothing was going to stop me. So congratulations on that.
Thanks.
I want to get some good golden nuggets from you on content creation, and also hear who's been your favorite people that you've worked with. But first, I really, you're 30 years old, is that right? Yeah.
30 years old as of January.
And you have come a long way really, really fast.
Yeah.
Right? And travel the world and all that good stuff. what's been your like drive for that? Because like you said, you could have coasted, but you keep deciding to do more and more. What's inspired that drive in you?
Three things. Number one was my proximity to the people around me. So one thing that was influential in my career path is that I was always surrounded by people that wanted more out of me and wanted more out of their own life. The first person that ever gave me a job, his name was Frankie D'Agostino, who's my best friend still to this day. He would always tell me I'm the best in the world. And I legit had a camera in my hand for maybe a month. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't even have a portfolio. I've never done it. He's like, you're the best.
Oh, I love that.
And he always said that to me, like legit every day.
Yeah.
And then I also realized moving through my life, the chapters, you know, the famous Steve Jobs saying, your life, it only makes sense looking backwards where you can connect the dots.
Right.
And connecting the dots with the people in my life, I've been very lucky where I've had many influential people that have seen more for me in my life. A term I'm using right now for my life and today is to cast a vision for my future. And a lot of the people in my life always had a vision for me way bigger than I could ever imagine. So the first thing was proximity. The second thing was just being relentless. I didn't have a choice. So something that I don't say often, you know, I come from a very good family and a very good background. I was put through private high school education, private Catholic university, and I had the love and support of my family until it was May 16th, 2016, I graduated, and it was around like probably a week, 2 weeks later, I get my grandma a call. I'm like, hey, like I need rent. And she's, rent, what are you talking about? Rent for what? And I go, for my basement apartment in New York. And she goes, no. She's like, it's done. Like, I've supported you your entire life. You're choosing to do this path. And if it's a path you want to do, you figure it out. You're a man now. And so in that moment, I realized two things. Number one, it was scary. But number two, it was me or nothing. Like I couldn't fall back on something. And I had to make the decision. The only thing I can't control is me. And so that's when I just went all in. And that's why I started saying to endless opportunities. And then the third thing was just faith. Like I come from, you know, I was raised a Catholic. I went to a private Catholic high school, private Catholic college. And I just knew that's the one thing for me that made sense is that, you know, I could pray towards something that makes me stronger, or I could just have a pity party and sit and cry and make, excuses about my life of how things are playing out. But I just told myself that, you know, by doing that it would make the most sense. So for anyone listening, I just really say when you're in a rut, when you're just like not sure of what to do, the thing you can do is pray. And the second thing is change your environment. And so even if the right people aren't around you, then go outside and start walking. Yeah. You know, if you want to learn more, there's so many endless resources. Go to a library, legit go to a place where there's endless books. Yeah. Because for me, I'll tell you the flip side of me, when I was deciding to take this leap of faith of then leading other content creators, there was a good month. Like I did my first workshop about 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. It took me 4 years to do that. Wow. And not that it took me 4 years to do it, it was the decision to do it. Right. There's a handful of characters in my life who've been around who literally one of my best friends, the guy who introduced me to Dan, one day I was in his kitchen and I was telling him about it for the, I guess, 6th time. And he looks at me dead in the eyes and he goes, you cannot bring this up to me one more time. No, he's dead serious. He said, you can't bring this up to me one more time until you do it. Don't stop bringing this up to me. He's like, go and do it. Nice. And I legit listened to, I called the day before. I was like, yo, I'm doing it. I was like, this is it. Like, I can come back to your house and stay with you, right? Like when I come and visit you. But that just goes back to what I said in the beginning. Like there was a lot of people that had a bigger vision for me. And I just took that leap of faith towards, doing something that felt really uncomfortable. But now it's turning into a thing where I'm committing to it once a month. So I'm doing my next one in Miami in May at my childhood home, which is going to be super cool. Nice. So I'm going to have my family there. I'm going to have my parents there. That's just even thinking about it now is making me emotional. It's going to be so cool.
One day you're going to have to come do it in Dallas.
Yeah. No, that's the plan. I'm going to do most major cities. Yeah. I'm just taking it month by month. Yeah. That's my mindset with my life. I can't control yesterday or tomorrow. It's just today.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love that you said, if you're not around the right people, go outside, because years ago I heard that saying that you're the sum of the people around you. Right. And I looked around me and I was like, well, shit, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, sometimes people, and this is reality, is maybe that circle is your family. Yeah. Like sure. I love my mom. Mm-hmm. I can't spend more than like 5 hours with her straight. Like I just love her. Yeah. And I know that and I have awareness of that. Yeah. And so I'm aware of that. My sister, my siblings, I love them, but there's a certain time period where I'm like, hey, like I got to go out and do something. Right. I got to go out and move. I need to switch it up. And and I think that's so big of people getting caught up of not denying their family, but more so just saying like, hey, you put them there and just go do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
And when you show up for yourself, they'll still be there.
Yeah,
even win or lose, you know, that's kind of the whole thing of
the way
family.
I changed my energy circle was through podcast and through YouTube. And I just started looking. That's where I found a lot of the speakers that I listen to today, because I wanted to change my energy, and I did not have access to that type of people and that type of energy. And the minute I started changing, you know, every morning, as we talked about, I listen to a podcast or a YouTube, get someone else's perspective and just change my energy. And now I'm surrounded by people like that I want to be around and that I want to be in the energy circle of. So I'm a firm believer in that. I love that you said that. And, you know, you've, again, worked with amazing people. I'm sure you've had your party days.
Yeah.
What drove you to make the decision to become sober?
Well, when I look back on it now, because it's actually something I think about every day. And, you know, it's not just to be sober. Like, I plan on never drinking or doing anything ever again. And the number one reason why not to do it today, when I think about it, is I'm so rich in my relationships that I wouldn't want to fall victim by my selfish decision. And I said this to a friend when I was making the decision, because I also looked into, when you're doing that, it turns dark. You turn dark in regards of like your own withdrawals or whatever it may be, but also understanding your relationships are going to change of who's in your life because of your past experiences and or actions are not the person you're going to become. And I had a close friend of mine call me, and she was like, "Hey, let's go. We're going to go out. We're going to do da-da-da-da-da." And I said no. And it scared me because I didn't want to lose her as a friend. But then I switched and I realized, wait, I want you to realize the reason I'm saying no, it's not just about me. I want you to know that the person that used to be in the club with you is now going to be the one supporting you even more with your business. The person that was staying out with you till 5 a.m. is going to be the guy who calls you at 9 a.m. to go on a hike. So I'm just alternating those decisions of something that what I view as pouring into people versus doing things that are removing from your life. And ultimately, the broad thing was I just wanted a different life for myself and my future. And when I looked at all the problems in my life right now, very minimal, so it's not to say I had big ones, but the idea is like when I looked at it, the nucleus to all of them was alcohol. And I said to myself, okay, what if I remove it? How great would these different areas of my life be raised? And it's just literally, it was February 23rd. I remember it. I was like, that was the day that I woke up and I'm like, never again. And just like that, you know, I'm single and I was looking for love in a lot of the wrong places. And as I reflected, I went to the one place that's been waiting for me the entire time with open arms and endless love, my mom. And the places of business where thinking I needed to be in certain rooms or I needed to work with certain people, with my faith, I just kind of leaned into that, and then the right people started showing up. The right things just started happening. Exactly how we got connected. Like, I met you through an issue. You were entering into one of our events and I overheard there was a ticket issue, and I stepped up and resolving that. And then we all connected, and then you guys connected with me. Hey, we're gonna come out today. Can we work with you? And so it's like, that's been the ethos of my life right now, of just like doing the right thing, showing up for the right people, and just trusting that whole process of it all. And the baseline of it, just going back to making that decision. I've always been aware that, you know, alcohol and drugs, and that's not good for you. I've always known that. Something I'm becoming more public about. In my childhood, I experienced a lot of that in my family. And my sister would always tell me, she's like, hey, you have an addictive personality, not by love, not by hate, but because of your blood. In our past, there's people in our lives that had addictive problems that didn't result in success and didn't result in doing good things. So I was always scared and daunted by it. And just like everyone else, it kind of just switched over time for me. And I had the past like 3 or 4 years of my life where I was just like socially drinking, doing this, doing that. And I just said to myself, you know, I was tired with the way I looked. I was tired with how I felt. I was tired with my relationship with God. I was sending prayers out and I wasn't hearing anything. I'm like, what's wrong? I questioned my faith. And I was questioning me as a man, of who I am and seeking, the people I'm attracting to future, you know, girlfriends or spouses. And it's like nothing was lining up. And again, it was just root of all of it was alcohol, and kind of just switched it all. And kind of, I've been lucky where, again, going back to that first thing I said, is the people in your life who are influential. This part is like so big because this scenario gave me this perspective sometimes just because someone's been in your life for a long time doesn't mean that they have the right to give you perspective or the right insight. And it may be sometimes the one guy who saw you for 10 or 5 minutes that steps into your life and says something really powerful, and then you make that decision if you want that to impact you, or let that just be, you know, a moment in your life that you said, man, I remember that time, or it was remember the moment that it changed my life. I had that moment. It was December, yeah, it was December 15th. It was in Las Vegas. I was at Mandalay Bay, and we were doing the world's largest toy drive with Dan Fleischman, and he partnered with Trainers for Kids, which is founded by Vince Ritchie, owns Hubble Studio, one of the production companies out here. I had no personal relationship with him, knew him directly through business. We're about to go out for dinner. We're in separate rooms, and he said, hey, come into my room. I'm changing real quick. I just want to talk to you before we go out. Again, no context, no nothing. He just tells me, sit down. And I'm feeling like, I was like, what is this? Like, I feel like I'm going to like, principal's office. Yeah. I'm like, what is about to happen? I think he likes to mess around and prank. So I'm thinking someone's hiding in the closet or something. Someone's going to pop out. And yeah, he just sits me down and just goes straight into it. And he says, hey man, like I've been watching you for the past 2 weeks. And if you continue doing what you're doing and living that lifestyle of staying out late and drinking and just not being 100% present, you're going to amount to nothing. Like straight up, just like that. And he's from New York, Bronx. Right. Some may say that's aggressive. For me, it's relatable because I lived in Yonkers, New York. And it's like New York, the whole concept, you could live there, you could live anywhere. And so that grittiness and edginess and directness, I love. Yeah. And so in that moment, I just sat there in silence, and I just let him go at me. And he just started saying, hey, I see you do X, Y, and Z. You continue down this path. I used to X, Y, and Z. You'll end up being like X, Y, and Z. And he's like, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. He's like, your actions that you daily do will amount to that by you choosing not to do so. But he said, here's the flip side. You could change that today. You could change that tomorrow. He's like, start working out. Go clean. Start eating right. Show up for yourself. And everything else in your life, that the problems that you're having, I promise things will start to change. Yeah. In that moment, truthfully, I said, F that dude. I swear. In that moment, I was like, what? The whole time I was sitting there, I'm like, who are you to talk to me like that? Right. I have no that dear of respect or kind of admiration for you to come at me in that way. Yeah. But I stayed quiet. I listened. I walked out very annoyed. And then kind of the whole thing of sobriety, what I've realized, it's never a moment. It's kind of the culmination of things that come to bring you to yourself. Yeah. Later on, time passes, and there was a friend of mine who I saw post about being sober, and her job is nightlife. That blew my mind. Yeah. And I directly messaged her, and I was like, hey, I'm just out of curiosity, like, how do you do it? Like, how are you able to maintain? I'm a social person, and I viewed it very binary. It's either you drink or you don't drink. And if you don't drink, you don't go out. If you don't go out, you don't go to dinners. You don't have friends. You're all in. You're black. You know, it's like David Goggins. Like, you wake up at 5 a.m. by yourself. You run by yourself. And so that was my mentality of this whole sobriety. Yeah. And she just opened up to me about like how she's been able to do it, what she does for a living, how the decisions of others don't impact her. Shout out to Nicolette. And I asked her, what is the type of conversation can you have with people? Because I know it can become weird when you're telling people you're sober. Yeah. It can kind of go down an awkward conversation when you're out, something that I don't want to really have because I'm doing it for myself. Yeah. And so for those people listening, I think this is so big because what happens is if you don't have the right statement set in place for yourself and you sound confused of why you're trying to make this decision, your peers are going to question you even more. Right. And they're going to take you down that rabbit hole of like, why are you choosing to do this? And if you can't clarify your destination, your vision for your life, they'll then say to themselves, okay, this guy, he's not going to last long. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll offer you shots. You'll be there. Right. So she helped me with conviction, clarity, and also terminology of when I'm out to say, hey, like, I don't drink because I'm on a cleanse. Right. Followed a week later, I go out and I'm out with a group of friends from New York. And I'm super nervous. Like it's so wild to say this. I go out and I attend a lot of events. I do a lot of events and I love people, but I was so nervous to go out and we go out to the club and I enter and the first thing that happens to me, a guy walks over, he's like, yo, here's some shots. And I was about to say I'm on a cleanse. And then I made that decision saying I'm not on a cleanse. I don't drink. The people around me, 2 of them knew me, shocked. Like, what do you mean you don't drink? I don't drink anymore. Yeah. The guy who's serving me the drink says that, good for you, man. I don't drink either. Then the guy to my right, who's gonna drink, drops a shot and he goes, yo, if you're not drinking tonight, I won't drink either.
Nice.
And it was in that moment that I realized, like, by me choosing to make this decision for myself, like the impact that we hear about, like, I know that word is so cliche because even me saying it sometimes, I'm like, oh, impact. I don't want to be impactful. But it's like, no, it's like you have a choice to make a decision for your life that could really impact the people around you.
Absolutely.
That go way farther than that moment.
Yeah.
And then since then, I've just been more and more open about it and talking about it because I just believe it's so important that people know that you have that choice. That's another thing too. If you decide to drink, if you have a drink, good for you. That doesn't change my relationship with you. I'm just coming from a perspective of, since I've made that decision, my life has been so rich in so many places, and it's not only helped me, it's helped the people around me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a lot of the reason why I wanted to have you on the show, because we talk to a lot of people who have some major event happen, you know, they lost their limbs, or, you know, they were homeless and drug, and it's all these major things, and then they overcame them. And those are great stories, but it's also not everybody's story.
Right.
There are some things that, you know, you were very successful. Alcohol was not stopping you from having a successful life. But making that change and making that decision is still impactful. And I think it's important that people know you can make these what seem small decisions has a huge impact on your life. And like you said, the lives around you. So I think it's important to tell those stories too. You don't have to be, you know, homeless and broke and then you came out of nowhere to have a good story. So, you know, I just love that you're putting that out there and that you're growing in your confidence in it. I don't have an addiction problem, never have, but I drank a lot when I was young.
Don't we all? I feel like that's just,
I know.
That, again, going back to when I said the sobriety of it being so binary, like, I still love to go out.
Yeah.
And I still love to dance. I still love to be with my friends. But I just choose, instead of grabbing alcohol, I grab cranberry juice.
Yeah.
I grab a Red Bull. I think it's just the choice of what we're holding on to changes, where it doesn't have to take away from the joy.
For sure.
So I have to include this. My mentor, Vince Ritchie, who's been so vital in not only my personal development, but also my fitness commitments, of making me go so hard every single day. I legit have an Apple Watch, talking about the people around you. I bought this Apple Watch because every single day we watch what we do. He watches me. I know when he's working out. And it's 100% not only accountability, but setting expectation for the greatness that he sees, not only in me, but for my future.
Yeah.
And he said to me, the term he used to me is a common one: how you do one thing is how you do everything. But he said it to me at a moment that was so bare. It was, I can't remember. I think it was maybe pulling out the chair, pushing the chair in for a table that we left. It was something so simple. And he stopped me and he looked at me and he's like, you need to fix that. Every single thing you do in our business is hospitality. The way you speak to people, the way you treat to people, and how you push that chair in. If you push this chair in reluctantly, very smoothly, and just don't care about it, you'll do that for the moment that you're supposed to pull out the chair for a female or for someone you love. It's like, you need to treat everything the same exact way. So it's never by mistake. And it's you're 100% all in. The term I'm living by right now is I'm living my life by design and not by default. And it's being intentional with how you move and what you do and everything that you do. Because of my clarity, when before it felt overwhelming. Now it's just conviction and intent. Now that's just how I'm moving now. It's just not like I have non-negotiables, but also with the people and the conversations I'm having, the things that I have to do for myself. That I utterly know it just affects everyone else around me. Saying that, another huge component for me has been hot yoga. Hot yoga has given me clarity in my breathing.
That's amazing.
That is one thing that I never took seriously. I was aware of. I had friends that did it for a living, meditation, something, the app, and I've heard it for years. And I wrote this on one of my Instagram posts a couple of days ago, and it was when I was in the sauna. And it's like, when I'm struggling, I breathe. When I'm thriving, I breathe. When things are good, I breathe. The one thing I control is my breath, and that's my emotion, and then how I react to the world. So when things are weird or good, I do it very often. I just close my eyes. It doesn't sound funny or weird. I'm kind of laughing talking about it because it's literally what I do. I control my breathing. And I do the 4 take, like inhale 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. I do that a couple more times. And then I assess whatever is going on, or if it's a difficult decision or kind of thing that may have brought me some eeriness on making a decision, then it guides me through it a little bit easier.
Nice.
I think that is so vital. People intentionally don't breathe.
Yeah.
And through doing hot yoga, again, when we talk about pieces, people showing up here in life and how they show up for you, it's never that one thing. It's like people talk about fitness, right? Working out is great and showing up for yourself, but it's also nutrition. It's also recovery. It's also sleep. And I truly believe it's all the sum of all things that leads you to that place, and doing all those things that help you find clarity. And for one of those multiple things in my life towards this next phase of my life was hot yoga and breathing. Nice. Outside of my mentors, inside of working out, outside of getting the right sleep, outside of eating right, it was the sum of all things that, led me to the conversations I would have of someone in person and online of saying, hey, these are the topics or things you can be saying to get through those difficult conversations of telling someone you're on a cleanse and telling someone that, hey, you are sober, and giving them conviction why you're choosing to do it.
That's nice. There's so many different things that are just pieced together. You've taken little seeds and planted a garden.
Yeah.
I
think that, again, looking back on my life, is exactly how I got to where I was people always say they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go, and they don't know what they want to do with their life. I landed the marketing job for Gatorade after I tried an accounting job, after I was working admissions at my school, after I was working at All Saints on Link Road in Miami Beach, after I was working in a car lot as a car guy, like endless jobs, babysitting Tuesdays and Thursdays, babysitting Tuesdays and Thursdays, waitering during the day on Tuesdays and Thursdays as a waiter at Patsy's Pizzeria in New York. Like, I was doing it all. Women's basketball practice squad. Like, I'm telling you, I tried everything. And I think that is the cure towards finding, quote unquote, your purpose, is treating it like a buffet. Try a little bit of this, try a little bit of that, take in what applies to you and what serves you in that moment. And just keep going. You just got to keep going. And through that process of elimination, you'll then say to yourself, hey, you know what? When I fell asleep at the desk at my, I really did that, at my accounting internship in Miami, I fell asleep, I don't think accounting's for me. Or when I got into the finance and car stuff, I was like, I don't think finance or car salesman that's not my career path. Even then, when I picked up a camera, it took me 2 years to have conviction in my career. And it was only because everyone needs to know this. Being an entrepreneur, stepping into something new is uncomfortable. The only way you remove that and build your confidence is by putting in the reps. And it took me 2.5 years to say, all right, I'm a full-time creator. Legit, when people would ask me what you do for a living, I was like, I take pictures. I take videos. And then someone would be like, no, you're a creative director. I'm like, what's that? And it's the identity we all kind of linger with when you don't know and you haven't put in the time towards your prospective career. That felt for me that I was able to work through it when I put in the reps and I kept showing up for myself and I kept doing the jobs, and I said to myself, all right, I can do this. I can handle this career. I could handle this job. I could handle this photo shoot. That then gave me the confidence to then show up for myself again and again and promote myself and do the things I kept on doing.
Nice. So as the content CEO, you're holding workshops, you're teaching people how to attack content. Like I had mentioned before, I have been a business and marketing consultant most of my career. I actually was a car salesman for a little while.
Well, once you start, sales applies to everything in life. So I've also realized that.
But creating content as a business owner is such a pain point. It's such a stressful thing for business owners because they know they need to do it. But they don't want to do it. They don't have time to do it. They don't know what to do. And it's like a major stress factor, more so than just about anything else in their business. So what are some tips without giving away all the sauce for your workshops? At least tell us, what do you teach people in those workshops that help them with their content, whether it's for their business or as an influencer or podcaster or whatever?
We came to the right place. So I just want to I don't even want to make it about me and my workshops. I want to give tactical advice. I think the number one thing everyone should do is create a schedule. The same way you schedule your workouts, you schedule picking up your kids, and you schedule your own personal nights out or dinners out, you schedule your content. And I always say start off easy. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, make a commitment. Designate Mondays, what are you posting? Wednesdays, what are you posting? Fridays, what are you posting? And then, similar to how we spoke about before, when you're filming podcasts, you film 4 in one day and you're ready for the month. Do the same thing with your content. Always be a week or 2 weeks ahead. And by having content scheduled, you then have conviction in what you're posting. So I've been there. We've all done it. You're like, wait, it's Tuesday, 2:00. I should be posting this. Wait, I could be posting that. What's the caption? What should I be posting? How often? What is the soundtrack I should be using? Eliminate all the confusion with creating the schedule and conviction on what you're posting on what day. Make these non-negotiables. You post at 9 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Monday, let's make it fitness. Just to make it easy. On Mondays are those workout reels. Give someone 4 to 5 workouts that they can do at home. On Wednesdays, you give them nutritional value. Again, it's the sum of all things that support you as a person to then look at you as motivation or inspiration. And those are the 3 pillars I always live by: is motivation, inspiration, education. You do that through your content. You'll create a community. You'll create a following. You'll create people that'll show up for you, not only quote unquote follow you, but really look up to you and what you do and how you do it. And I think through that ethos of, that scheduling strategy, then you can diversify and start making it fun, creative, interesting, pick up on trends. That's always great. People identify what's going on and what is good in your career, of what's working and what's not working. Have those conversations. And I also believe podcasts, the same way we're having this conversation. We're at this amazing home in West Hollywood with insane production, lights and stuff. You could do from your phone with an iPhone. That's very easy to do. Set up a tripod, get your phone running, turn it on Do Not Disturb, get the DJI mics, and just talk. It doesn't matter if one person's listening or none. You're getting the reps in of having conversations, of them, people understanding your voice, of them hearing conviction on your education, on your background. Someone like yourself, you're selling, you sell commercial jets to sit on these private planes, to experience that. Talk about the experience, talk about your services, right? That makes you unique. Why should someone come to you? Why should I go to Tia in Dallas, Texas to help me book my planes going from this place to that? Speak about the services, testimonials, and then through your voice of conviction, education, and inspiration, clearly your life has been very unique, something that I haven't heard of someone having 3 kids by the age of 16. Speak about that, because your voice, no one is you. That saying cannot be more understated. We are all unique. The place you're living, the place where you're at, who you are surrounded by makes you you, and share that, because no one is you. No one has the same DNA. No one looks like you unless you have twins. But the idea is that you're unique in who you are, and it's really a shame to not share the values and the education or kind of the things that you've learned to the world, because you're taking something from someone that needs your help and or services.
Yeah. I love that, because we got to a space a while back when social media was fairly new, dinosaur ages, like 10 years ago. And everything had to be a major production. Yeah. And I love that it's getting so organic now, because it's so much more interesting, you know? One question that people ask me all the time is, which social media should I focus on? And I'll just tell you my background. I believe in full diversified marketing. Even though I was a programmatic marketing expert, I believe in doing everything, and that's what ties together. That's what makes it the best. So I kind of have that view on social media, and people are like, there's no way. Like, I'm only going to do LinkedIn, or I'm only going to do this, and I can't do TikTok, something about China. I don't know. But what is your advice on focusing on one or all, or what do you tell people?
Yeah, so I actually talk about this in my workshop, where I say the number one thing is understand your audience. Where is your audience living? By then identifying where your audience is living is where you could then focus your attention. Truth be told, my mentor, Dan, who talked, he says to be everywhere. I find that to be very difficult, because that same feeling that everyone you just described, I go through and say to myself, wait, I can't spend 2 hours on TikTok, 2 hours on Facebook, 3 hours on Instagram. Like, then I'm on my phone all day. I get it. I do believe it does take less than 5 minutes to grab that content and distribute it. But I also think you should also recognize, where does your audience live? Where are the people, an example, running a company? You need to make money, and understanding where your clients. For you, I'm assuming it's between Facebook and LinkedIn. No, rarely. I'm sure you can get business from TikTok. Not to say you can't, and it's not impossible. But the idea is, I'm assuming most are high earning professionals on LinkedIn. You identify who they are, what they do for a living, and you automatically kind of removes all the dead weeds of saying, all right, this is not someone who lives with this mom who's wishing to be on a jet. You're saying to yourself, this guy owns a multi-million-dollar company. He has a staff of 5 that he likes to travel with. So instantly that gives credibility of who you are and what you're doing towards the consumer. So I would say for you is LinkedIn. But for me, I think it's also to be aware and have awareness of what's tried and true is Meta, Facebook. It's the largest social media platform. They acquired Instagram for $1 billion, WhatsApp for another ridiculous amount of money. They're not going anywhere. They're the forefront, what I call the queen bee of all social media platforms. And the second is I personally love Instagram. I just think it's the 21st century business card. I think, you can't have a website, but people always refer to your Instagram. They go up to the same way you look up something, said, can I Google that? You say, what's your Instagram? It's a form of language now.
Yeah.
And identifying that being your social media / business card of today is very important, because right off the rip, within the first 9 posts, I could identify who you are, what you're about, and who you're working with. Saying that you're doing a good job of demonstrating your business or personal brand. And through that, I think you could then diversify, get into the TikToks, get into LinkedIn, of course, being a business professional, and any other platform that has interest to you. But really is between Facebook and Instagram for me.
Yeah. You're right, though. Where's your audience, right?
And sorry, of course, I cannot forget YouTube. Something really big that people need to be aware of is that Google owns YouTube now. And so when you Google something, I don't know if you've seen of late, it pops up before the top 5 search engines or videos. The SEO. And that's huge in a business. So yes, long form content, make sure to be posting it on YouTube. And then you have your shorts. I'm posting all my Instagram reels on YouTube shorts now. I know we just had to not go all in on everything, but it's identifying what is the landscape of today's world, and the language that people are having, and what resources and how you could use them. Because everything I said is free. Like, outside of making the content, and outside of amazing production, you can grab your iPhone, stand in your kitchen, and just talk and talk about your business, talk about what you're doing, and service people and create a community.
Yeah, it's huge for people that are like, I don't have a marketing budget. It's free. You can do it.
And a lot of things we said, you could Google or YouTube.
YouTube.
How to do it at home.
YouTube's the second largest search engine.
Yep.
Google's the first.
That's how I learned almost everything. What I do for a living is legit. When people ask me, hey, can you do this on Photoshop? I would search it. It took me a while, but I would get it done. And that's a lot of what I did when I first started for the first 5 years.
And I think, I don't know if there's any correlation, because I haven't asked anyone, but since TikTok has been out, it seems like YouTube's algorithms have advanced. So I don't know if they're taking lessons from what's happening in other social media, but you and I were talking about it earlier. Now I get on YouTube and it suggests videos that I really want to watch. Where before,
this is like
it was so
the Utah black hole. I did that yesterday. I was searching a song, and then I was like, recommended video of this trailer of a movie. I'm like, oh, what's that? And then a recommended playlist of this DJ playing out overseas. I'm like, what's that? I'm like, wait, I spent 2.5 hours looking at videos that had nothing to do with what I wanted to look up. I do that pretty often now.
Yeah, I love it, because I pretty much watch the same stuff. You know, inspirational podcasts, all that kind of stuff. And it'll suggest, it knows what I've seen. It suggests new ones, and it makes it just faster for me. I love it. But yeah, so for Stella Jets, for our audience, we are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I was actually surprised. It was actually the first Aspire. The first Aspire I went to was in Santa Clara, Aspire event. And everyone there they were like, follow me on Instagram and I'll follow you back, and then we can talk there. And I was like, since when did Instagram become the business person's like chat? And, my granddaughter, one day she was saying some boy was cute at a basketball game. And I said, oh, you want me to go get his number for you? And she was like, Mimi, that is so embarrassing. We don't exchange numbers. We exchange snaps. And I was like, oh. But business people, it's Instagram.
That's like again, it's understanding your audience. Snapchat, for the younger demographic, they use it as a text messaging service. They have this thing called streaks. And those streaks identify the conversation between you and I. And every streak is a day of us talking.
Wow.
So it's like a thing within it. Again, understanding your audience and where they live. The younger demo lives on Snapchat. That's it. My cousins and everyone's on that. Me, I'm good. I have it, but I don't do anything on it.
I only do it for the filters. When I want to pretend like I'm Kris Jenner.
Yeah, there you go.
But for business people, it's like Instagram is our Snapchat.
Yep.
I was really amazed. So I do a lot of Instagram because so many people that do business with me, that's like you said, that's their calling card. That's the way they want to talk. Yeah,
I identify, just listen and watch people, and that'll give you an understanding of the trends. People are like, I don't know what's hot. Just start asking around, have conversations. Jump on your phone and just see what's becoming viral. Just like anything else, I consider social media like a park. If you focus on the basketball courts and you're only watching basketball games, you're only interacting with what NBA players are posting or games that are happening in the playoffs, that's the only thing you'll see then. Start consuming the things you want to be consuming and engaging with those pages, and that'll start to filter out your current algorithm, which has happened to me. Like mine used to be a ton of like memes of partying and doing X, Y, and Z, and now it's really just three things. Like a lot of it's like motivational content, cinematic things of people speaking over it, and imagery that involves traveling, something faith focused, and or content creation. It's like that's it. And a special thing that I've loved I did recently was mute people. That is something that is so big because you allow them to focus your time on the things you're choosing to pay attention to. Because it's very easy. I've been there, done that, on jumping on your phone and realizing, wait, 3 hours of my life just went by and nothing has changed. And then you're sitting there and dwelling on your own past or dwelling on your current life as if it's not good. And comparing yourself to others. That is the biggest enemy. You want to talk about dark place? That's being in your head. Being in your head and having that negative self-talk because you'll never win. That's just what it is. It's that side of things that say to yourself that you're not good enough, you're not better than anyone else, that your life is not as cool, and or you're not succeeding as quick as everyone else around you. That's all a lie. It's a complete lie you're telling yourself. That's a complete lie you're having with yourself. You remove that by doing the things that fulfill you and or move you towards that goal. And for me, I've just been focused on those three things, like daily action of just my personal fitness, cold plunge, sauna, steam room, jacuzzi at one point, having deep conversations with my siblings, my mom, texting them, sending them photos, and everything, aka like this moment, is a plus of my day. That's literally what I tell myself when I get work done. I have deep conversation with my family and loved ones. I work out. I had a great day. And that's it. And everything else that happens outside of it is a good day. And I think that's just so important. People think they need to be doing so much, or they think they need to be in so many places at once. It's like, that's just a lie you're telling yourself, and that's society that's telling you need to be that. Find the things that fuel you and stop doing the things that drain you.
100%. 100%. And when you schedule your day out to all the things that are important for you and make sure that you make time for those, it actually organically eliminates the amount of time you're spending doing mindless stuff. People call me, even like yesterday, I had a friend of mine a week ago. He came in from Texas, actually, or no, he's from Pennsylvania, but I met him in Texas. And he said to me, he's like, yo, I've been watching you on your health journey. I want to work out with you. I'm like, yo, let's go. And so he lands and we go straight into hot yoga, like directly. He's never done hot yoga in his life. And I'm just so energetic of like, I don't like to sit around. If I'm not working, I want to be moving. And so we finished the hot yoga class and I'm like, all right, yo, let's go back to my place. I'm gonna make you a smoothie. I make the smoothie. I was like, yo, a friend hit me up. We're going on a hike. This really happened. We go on a hike and he's finishing the hike. I'm like, yo, we're going to go box at Rumble Boxing. And we're doing all this and he's getting out. And prior to Rumble, he said to me, he's like, dude, I can't keep up with you. This is overwhelming. At the end of Rumble, he looked at me and he said, what are we doing next? Aww.
And that got me so excited and happy because then it hit me of like me deciding to do the things that only serve me and help me in my life can also help the people around you and have them think differently. Needless to say, the next day he did not work out with me. And needless to say, he definitely flew home. But it was kind of that moment of talking about like showing up for yourself. You start doing that for you, and it's just a clear kind of reflection on the people around you. They're either going to show up with you or they're going to retract, and that's okay. I've understood that, and I understand that now more than ever, and I'm okay with that because I'm doing this for me, and I know it serves me and it helps me and it fuels my soul, and I just. You see me smiling so heavy because it's just, I wholeheartedly believe in that right now of just doing the things that help me.
Well, your energy and your aura, it just shines.
Thanks.
You smile at everyone and you're obviously very charming, but you have, you just shine. Your aura is just so bright. And so you can tell that you're really living in a good space. And I think there was a lesson within your lesson there because your friend who didn't give up, everybody gets to that moment where it's like, I'm done. And when you don't give up, everything else is so amazing after that. It's that moment so you real. Make that decision. And then it's like, if you just go one more step, it's paradise.
We were going up the famous, hike here in LA is Runyon. It's in the middle of West Hollywood. And we're going up the hill and he's looking at me. He's like, dude, I'm done. He's dead serious. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
He's like, we haven't eaten. And he's like, this is crazy. Like, I want us to work out, not do 3 workouts. And I said, you can go eat, but I'm not going to let you. I literally told him, I was like, but I'm not going to let you. I was like, you chose to come and work out with me. We're working out.
Yeah.
And I was like, and how about this? You meet in the middle, because you can't be so aggressive, especially when you're pushing someone. I said, we'll go halfway. And I promise the viewpoints will stop along the way. We'll take pictures, we'll take videos,
Nice.
and I'll make it a process that's enjoyable and not putting through military training, because
Right.
that's not my goal of this. It was really just, I wanted to spend time with him. I wanted him to work out, but at the same time, I didn't want to be accountable I wanted to make him accountable and not let him quit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty cool.
You think he'll ask you to work out next time?
Probably not. He hasn't messaged me since.
He's like,
I forgot to, after this, I'll follow up and ask him, like, dude, how sore do you feel?
Right.
Because that's extreme.
Yeah.
For me, I grew to that, where I was telling someone the other day of like, now if I work out or do hot yoga, I was like, I want to go on a hike. I want to move.
Yeah.
My friend Freddie and I, we were just talking. We were in my apartment. I was like, dude, how about we talk while we're on the treadmill? Like, let's just talk and walk and, get my steps in, challenge myself to do a little more. And yeah, that's became my new high. So we talk about drug of choice. It's working out right now, like 100%. And doing all the things that are fun for me, which is like, instead of being in the hookah lounge, I'm in the steam room. Instead of being out in the club, I'm working later and or working on projects and or going to bed. Like, actually doing the things that help me. But yeah, it's been fun, and I really feel like now this next chapter of my life is kind of, it's a whole new one. And I'm just getting started and doing it with the right people, doing the right thing, and being intentional about it.
That's awesome. They always say you don't attract who you want. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are.
Yeah.
So it's
the mindset I'm using now is the man I'm aspiring to be.
Yeah.
So I have aspirations to, God, I'm single. So I've reverted
Did you
from
hear that, ladies? He's single.
No, I've reverted. There was a saying, it's like, what if I started chasing God as much as I used to chase women?
Right.
What would that look like?
Yeah.
And that one hit me hard.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, all right, I'll do that. What are also the things that will attract the right person in my life? Being someone who's committed to his personal journey, being someone who's committed to his faith, being someone who's committed to his finances. I think I haven't had that hard conversation with myself of, hey, I aspire to live a certain way in my life. And that aspiration of the life I aspire to have, my actions at that time were not aligning with my finances, and also aligning with myself as a man, like doing all the things that would attract the right female in my life, and doing the things for me. So yes, it's a two-part thing of this, of saying, hey, like, don't do things just to have someone in your life. No, it's like, I aspire to have a partner, and I'm being intentional. I aspire to be a dad. I aspire to have kids. And fundamentally, it all derives from me making the right decisions for myself to be a good example. So that's just where my mind's at. But yeah, I removed from the thought of looking, and I'm doing 100% just doing the things for me. And I wholeheartedly believe I do this path that I'm on of, I'm going to find her in one of 3 places: the gym, the church, or a business conference.
Right.
I'm like so convinced it's going to be one of those 3 places.
That's good.
Or maybe somewhere along the way, grabbing coffee. I don't know. I don't even drink coffee, but kind of the in-between of those spaces.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Let's do it.
And then we don't have to put this on the podcast if you decide not to, if you want to cut them out.
Okay.
So what is your favorite type of domestic pet?
The dog.
Okay. What's your favorite wild animal?
Elephants.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
You're lost in the woods.
Yeah.
All you've had is water for 3 days.
Cool.
Your best friend comes and rescues you.
Okay.
And I take that back. You're lost in the woods. I'm going to ask you a different last question. You're lost in the woods and you are unarmed. It's dark, but you hear something running at you. What do you do?
I run. This is not, a perfect example. Last night, one of my picture frames in my hallways, one of my frames fell.
Yeah.
And I set up this wall of art in my apartment that I'm obsessed with. And Freddie goes, yo, just hang it up with the nail. And I go, dude, I'm the wrong guy. There's certain, strengths and weaknesses in life. I identify what's my weakness, and some of those things are just not my wheelhouse. Yeah. It would be totally different. And I actually subconsciously, there's a lot of dark thoughts I have in regards of moments in time in life,
Yeah.
of situations of, I say to myself, what would I do? I play that out a lot in my head many times, in regards of what would I do if I'm in a scenario with someone getting attacked next to me? What would I do if I'm sitting in a restaurant and a guy enters with a knife? I play that stuff out in my head often. Where in regards, if I was with someone, 100%, I'm all in on like protection and or move them. I just think fight. Like I really go into that space.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm alone, I've also learned through people in my life who work on fear tactics, don't engage unless you have to.
Right.
If it's a fight that you don't need to have, then don't do it. Because most times, the person that's engaging that fight has way more to lose, or has nothing to lose, I'm sorry, compared to you. So in that moment, the direct thing is run away. But if I'm with someone, I would kind of figure out the situation, see what would make most sense in that moment with someone to help them or save them, because I wouldn't be able to live with myself knowing that I ran away and left that person that couldn't fight for themselves.
That deep on it. I'm going to go backwards to tell you what the questions mean, right?
Okay.
And so it's questions that psychologists use to get to know their patients and break the ice. So in being in the woods, something running at you is how you respond to stress or to negative energy coming at you.
Yeah.
So I love that you kind of broke it down with, I may just turn my back from it, but if there's other people there, I'm going to look at it completely differently and not leave them on their own. So I love that you broke that down. The pet is what you want in a soulmate.
Oh.
So unwavering love and to cuddle.
That would be nice.
Those are good, right?
Yeah.
And then the wild animal, the elephant, those are like some of your prominent traits of your soul. So you're very much family oriented.
Yeah.
And like I said a while ago, you have a giant presence. So I love that.
Yeah.
Good
My
answers.
non-negotiable, if you don't get along with my family, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm all about my family. So
That's good. You're an elephant that wants a puppy.
yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to take care of myself. So I don't know if I can have a dog yet. We were just talking about that with Carson. That's it's a whole job within itself.
Love it.
I'm so happy. Thank you for having me. This has been so cool.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on this show. I can't wait to share it with everybody.